它的灯关掉先。
有了。Okay, all right.
你要 massage 它先啊 bro。
Oh my god, guys, this is my first time using OBS. Say hi to my friend. Thank you, Vince. Shout out to Vince. Oh my god. Oh, took me some time to really get to used to all this thing, man. All right, guys. Wait. Getting a little confused about, because it's actually my first time using OBS to do live stream, and still learning about it. And let me see, can we like connect to great. Okay. All right. Okay, guys, welcome back to our class. All right, welcome back to our class. Let's see. Okay. Okay, cool. Oops. Okay, guys, welcome. Let me double check with everyone. Is there anybody in the live stream right now? Nobody in the stream yet. Okay. Okay, guys. Multiple output. Okay, seems like we've connected to Telegram as well. Is anyone on my live stream currently? Okay, guys, welcome back to our class. Sorry for little technical glitches. It's meant to start at 8:30 p.m. If you are really new to our live stream, welcome to Profit in Peace. Even though that I know that maybe this room is still empty, but it's okay. I know that you guys are gonna watch this video in the near future, okay? So welcome back, welcome back to Profit in Peace. Welcome back to RX Trading Academy, right? So Profit in Peace is actually a trading program that me and my partners we designed to educate retail traders on how to stay peaceful while making profit, right? So we don't promote hype, we don't give signals, we don't do all those kind of thing, right? What we want to do is that we want to equip you guys with the best information, knowledge, and education possible for us to really make it right in the retail market. Now, today I'm going to share with you guys something that is very interesting, right? I'm going to let you guys to understand how I actually filter market. So the topic for today is how to protect judgment before taking risks, right? How do we actually, protect judgment before we take risks. Okay, now before we continue, let me check with the live stream. Is anyone actually in the stream, and is there any viewers? Well, it seems like it's quiet night tonight, but it's fine. Let's continue. Okay. All right. So tonight we're gonna talk about how to protect judgment, before taking risks. Okay. So why do I wanna talk about this? Why do I wanna preach about this? It's very simple. Now we're gonna like really start to dive deep into first principle and first to understand how the retail traders judgment actually is being formed. Now usually back at those days when I first started trading, I don't know anything about trading, and I tend to like get excited very fast. Very easily I get excited. The price move a little bit, I get excited. Just a tiny little impulse that's happening in the market, I get excited, right? So today we're going to talk about like how retail traders, how our judgment, is actually getting formed. Now, first thing first, we're going to talk about what happens in our brain. Now, the first thing that happens in our brain is that every time, when the price moves first, the brain demands a reason, right? We look at the sideways, we look at the price movement as if the price movement is not going anywhere, and suddenly there's a movement spike up a little bit, and then we want to like create a story. Okay, and then we look at the candle, the price movement go up, spike up a little bit, and then it suddenly get a retrace, rejection goes back down, and then suddenly, our brain demands for a reason again, right? So this is actually the first thing that is happening in our mind. We cannot stop creating story for ourselves. We must use a certain kind of storyline, a certain kind of narrative to actually explain the market, to explain price action overall, right? So this is the first thing that our brain is going through. Now, the second thing would be we borrow confidence from repetitions, not verification, right? What do you mean? What do I mean by borrow confidence from repetitions, not verification? Now, it means that if we look at the forums, and usually today you go to any like financial website, you go to any financial website, there's a prediction meter, right? So the prediction meter is telling you currently the overall price market sentiment is probably bullish or bearish so far. So yeah, um they start to like everyone start to forecast and think that okay, maybe we should just follow what everybody is thinking, right? Let's not go against the weight. But this, and you actually misunderstand that as verification, but that is actually not verification. You cannot verify something merely by looking at the meter, looking at the news. No, right? So we borrow confidence from other people. You open like 10 website and then you do an analysis, one, two, three, and then after 10 website, you read everything, you tell yourself maybe this is the time, this is the verification, I got a judgment, right? But this is not verification, this is actually repetitions. Okay, so you borrow repetitions from what is happening around the world, right? What is everybody is doing. Okay, now the third thing would be we commit before the feedback is real, right? We commit before the feedback is real. Now, what do I mean by that, right? What do I mean by we commit before the feedback is real? So commit means that before you understand that it is a valid signal, and then you start to place a position, right? So you see, price move first, your brain must demands for a reason to execute something. Your hands start to feel tingling, you want to do something, right? And second, you borrow confidence from repetitions. You look here, look there, fundamental analysis, right? You look at here, look at there, call your friends, everything. And then third, you start to place a position. No matter how big or how small, you start to place a position. And then what happened is that you start to defend the story. right? You start to defend the story, like you're holding it like it's something that, you know, like a board that is floating. You need to hold it so that it can save you, right? So this is actually how retail judgment actually gets formed. So this is what I say by, you know, how it's actually this is something what I call hope driven judgment, right? So what is a hope driven judgment? A hope driven judgment is actually a decisions are committed before you gain enough evidence uh, that has accumulated, right? This is what I call hope driven judgment. Okay, so now, how does this hope-driven judgment actually happen? I'm going to show you in real time, right? I'm going to show you in real time. Now, here's what happened usually at this very present moment, right? T0, okay? So usually what happens to the retail traders, especially new ones, is that we got being backfired and snapped by the market because we lock in at the wrong time. Now, what do I mean by locking in at the wrong time? Now, first, here's what happened. What actually exists at T0, right? The price just moved a little, okay? A level is just broken. You see, a level is just broken, and the order have just been triggered, right? And what does not exist yet? Well, there's no follow through, no repeated action, no evidence and sustained participation. So basically, I'm telling you is that at T0, at this very present moment, although the price has moved, but information is still incomplete, right? The price has moved, but the information is still incomplete, right? This is what I'm trying to tell you. So when the information is incomplete, well, what do? But most of the people, they start to place a trade there, right? When it start to have a breakthrough, you know, a lot of people make a decision. This is where a lot of, you know, most decisions are made, right? A level is being break and everybody rush in, right? So this is people, you know, a lot of retail traders locking in at the wrong time, right? So now here is what you actually should be doing, right? What you should actually be doing. T1, right? What is T1? After T0, right? You wait, you know, when the information slowly start to appear, right? You need to gather more information. So what actually exists at T1? Well, you have something like follow through or failure start to being visible, right? Reaction, you know, start to begin and start to repeat. Participation, you know, or lack of it become observable. So what actually becomes clear? You know, something, you know, whether others agree or don't agree with the price, whether something the price can stay or the price have strength or weakness, right? So this is actually, you know, something it doesn't give you certainty, but it does give you more information. So what I'm trying to tell you is that a lot of people, they start to go jump all into the market during T0, which is the exact moment when the price breaks through the level, right? But what you actually should be doing is to really train your impulse to really keep calm, you know, be peaceful. Okay, keep calm, be peaceful, and then gather more information, because usually if you pay close attention after T0, after during T1, T2, T3, and then you start to realize, okay, it might not, you know, it might not look like what you thought it should supposed to be. Okay, so why today, you know, this kind of situation is getting worse, even with abundance of information, right? Today we have abundance of information. Everyone in the live stream, you can get access to ChatGPT, you can get access to DeepSeek, you can get access to Gemini AI, you can get access to almost any abundance of information and knowledge you want, just at fingertips, right? But this situation is getting worse. More and more people are getting more emotional when they trade. More and more people are getting, you know, hyped up easily when they trade. So, what I want to tell you today is that it is actually not a personal failure, right? It's getting worse even with more information. You have access to ChatGPT, but still, we couldn't really achieve sustainable and consistent profit in the financial market. Now, what I want to tell you today is this is actually not a personal failure. Okay? So, here I'm going to tell you something else. What is the real enemy today? The real enemy of the retail traders today in 2026 is what I call premature consensus, right? This is what I call premature consensus. Now, what is a premature consensus, right? Let me ask you, what is a consent? Let me first check. Let me see, is anyone in the chat box listening to me? Right? Okay. So is anyone, is anyone actually, okay, let me turn on OBS again. Right? Okay, so what is the real enemy of the retail traders in the year 2026? There is something I call premature consensus, right? What is premature consensus? And why is it everywhere? Okay, now first thing first, I'm gonna ask you something else. What is consensus? A consent is something that we agree together, right? Let's say let's travel to Africa together by riding a bicycle. Do you want to join me? And you agree, right? So we have a consensus, right? Usually it's not that easy, right? It's like when you're marrying your husband or your wife, right? You need some time to really have that kind of consent, right? So consent is something that need times to build. Consent is something that really needs time to build all the way up, to make it solid, to make it structured. This is what I call consent. That is what I call mature consent, right? But the real enemy today of the retail traders in 2026 is what something I call premature consensus. So what do I mean by premature consensus? Right? Premature consensus means that we are so easily hyped up today. What is the reason? Now, first thing first, because we have instant analysis. Yes, we have instant analysis, right? News, signal, spread globally milliseconds, often without verification. Okay, and we have AI generated explanation everywhere. Okay, you can get instant aha moment every single day today, right? And third would be cross-platform repetitions, right? So this is actually why we have a lot of premature consensus, because the world is moving in a pace that is so fast that everyone sort of like can make a pretty accurate conclusion and assumption today with the acceleration of artificial intelligence, right? Without knowing something that is very, very important and slightly dangerous, which is a lot of time, especially um, especially when you're using AI. If you pay close attention, you will realize something very subtle yet important, which is the AI will sort of like agree with you. Okay, it's sort of like we will agree with you no matter what you say. Do you realize that? Like it will agree with you. No matter what you say, it will agree with you. You ask, should I buy this? And after a few conversation, the AI will tell you, ChatGPT will tell you, you should buy this, right? And you have like 1 or 2 hours discussion to justify yourself, whether you should buy or not buy. And then all in a sudden, within 5 minutes, you give another reasoning to ChatGPT, and suddenly you don't want to buy it. And ChatGPT will forget about everything you guys discussed, and then ChatGPT will say, yeah, I agree with you, we should not buy it, right? So this is what I try to want you to guys understand. We sort of like create a sense of consensus between we and ourselves by really, getting instant analysis with AI today, right? This is what I call by instant analysis, right? And another thing would be AI generated explanations, right? You generated explanations, and then everybody is using what AI generated to cross platform, blast it every single place, and we basically just follow everything, right? So that is what I'm saying, right? So now here's the thing, it creates something what we call, after the instant analysis, what do they actually have in common? What they have in common is that agreement that appears real because it is repeated, right? What is actually premature consensus? Okay, premature consensus means agreement that appears to be real because it is repeated many, many times between you and AI, between you and the market, right? Not because the price has accepted it, right? I'm going to repeat myself. So the real enemy of retail traders in 2026 is premature consensus, and premature consensus is agreement that appears real because it is repeated, not because price has accepted it. Okay? Now, this is what I call the loop of doom. What is the loop of doom, guys? Now, first thing first, let's take a look. We make our judgment with uncertainty and impatience, right? We thought that we gain enough information to act, but usually we act, based on impulse and uncertainty, right? And then we after we place a position, we want to defend, right? We want to defend the identity. We want to defend that story, that protect ourselves, right? So we create instant analysis everywhere, using AI to justify yourself, using others creators feeds to actually feed your mind like, yep, I just, shot gold and it does make sense, right? It does make sense because I place the position and then now I need it to make sense, right? ChatGPT told me that it makes sense. You get what I mean? And then number 3 would be repetition creates agreement, right? It looks like truth. The more you interact with AI, the more you look at what things is happening outside the world, well, it looks like truth, right? And premature consensus, forms again at T0, okay, and then a trade is placed again, and then T1 arrived, you realize that, oh my god, reality disagrees, emotional damage to you, and then you go on and on again, like, a loop, right? You go back to uncertainty. Okay, so this is what I want to tell you. This is the loop of doom. So the loop doesn't actually create better judgment, so it creates faster judgment. Okay, I want you guys to remember this. The loop doesn't create better judgment, but it creates faster judgment. Faster judgment doesn't equals to better judgments, guys. So this is what I want you guys to understand. Okay, so here's what is my belief when I trade. What do I believe in? What is my trading philosophy? Especially, from 6 years until today, until since 2020 years, 26 until the future. What do I believe? Right? Now, this is what I believe. I believe that the market punish early certainty and reward delayed commitment, right? I believe the market actually punish early certainty, right? People get excited, hype up too fast, and the market usually, hunt for people like this, and they reward delayed commitment. Gather more information before you do. So how do I actually trade, right? So because of this kind of belief, my belief actually forced me to a very specific way of trading. So how do I trade? I trade short term, I don't trade long term. Okay. And second thing would be I trade sideways to expansion markets, not clean trends. I don't chase trends. I'm not a trend trader. So and I filter aggressively before I look for entries. Right? I filter aggressively before I look for entries. Okay? Now, so which market do I trade? Now, here's the market that I trade. So here's the pairs that I watch, right? EU, Euro USD. The reason why is because Euro USD has clean participation, tight spreads, readable structure. Okay. And the second pair would be GBP USD because it has aggressive move, false break, show clearly. And I want you guys to pay attention on false break because that is the only trading strategy that I use to make money in the market. And number 3 would be USD JPY. High quality, legitimate, 15 minutes to 1 hour structure, right? Do I trade gold? Yes, but I observe longer and trade later because of the volatility of the market, right? And what do I avoid? I don't trade exotic pairs because of the thin liquidity, wider spreads, jumps, is much more chaotic. I want you to pay attention on the word chaotic because I stay away from chaotic markets. Okay, so exotic forex pairs, I stay away from them. Illiquid hours, signals lose meaning. New spike windows movement not equals to consensus, right? This is what I avoid, right? So here's what I want to tell you. I don't avoid the market because they are actually bad. Okay, I avoid them because they are hard to read honestly. Okay, I don't avoid market because they are bad. I avoid them because they're hard to read, honestly. All right, so these are the top three pairs. So here's the one, the lesson one that I want to teach you guys. Okay, lesson one. Attention is actually the first position. I want you guys to remember this one. Attention, right? Attention is the first position. Not EU, not gold, not long, not short, not nothing to do with lot size. Your very first position in the financial market, no matter what kind of market you're going to trade, your first position is actually the attention that you're going to invest into the financial market, right? Now, what deserves my attention? If you're new to trading, I want you to really pay attention for this one. Okay, what deserves our attention? Well, is the price calm or chaotic? Okay, that is the first thing that I ask, and it is not a complex thing to understand. Okay, later I'm going to show you a technique that I use to really see, what to define a price that is calming and a chaotic price. Okay, a second thing would be, is the price negotiating or already decided? Okay. And number three would be, does this market invite patience or urgency? Does the market makes you feel patience or urgency? Okay. So if a market feels attention filtering, I don't analyze it further. So this is actually what I do. Okay. So chart setup, right? What do you actually need? Today I open a whole new trading view, not in my account, just to show you guys how do you set up, for this filtering thing. So one time frame only. We're gonna, analyze the market below 1 hour time frame. So we're gonna use 15 minutes and 30 minutes, for entry. But today we're not gonna, get excited. Today we're gonna stick to the plan, and I'm gonna teach you what does it mean by attention is your first position, right? And number two would be candlesticks, no indicator. We use candlestick only, naked chart, horizontal lines only, high and lows. Okay, there's no sideways. There's no, there's no, there's no triangle. There's no such things, right? There's no like shrinking triangle. You name it. No, easy stuff. Horizontal lines only, high and lows, right? Number four would be clean background, nothing flashing. Okay, here's what I want you to know. More tools don't give clarity, fewer tools protect judgment. Okay, now here we're gonna start, to use 5-minute chart for mapping. Okay, we're going to use the 5-minute charts for mapping, and because the reason why is 5 minutes chart actually give you a higher resolution of market interaction, right? Mapping actually needs detail, judgment needs restraint, and the 5-minute chart actually, is used in the mapping mode. No entries, no bias. I don't use 5 minutes to trade, but I do use 5 minutes time frame chart, just for mapping, right? Detail helps the mapping. Now, here I want you guys to meet two characters, okay? Now, this is the first two characters that is going to be introduced to you that help you to lay the foundation to be sustainable in the market, survive the market. Now, the first one is somebody I would introduce you. Is called Mr. Body, right? Who is Mr. Body? Well, body is actually not your body. Well, if you look at the candlestick, it has a body and it has a wick, right? Right, it has a body and it has a wick. I'm going to show you guys, right? What is the body and what is the wick? Okay. All right, just a moment. Let me show you guys, okay? All right, there you go. Let me refresh that for a little bit. Okay, so easy. Who is Mr. Body right here? Okay, first thing first, when you go to the market, all right, for me, I want a very clean chart. So I go to setting, status line, everything. I try to make, the chart as clean as possible, right? But today I'm not going to teach you how to set up everything, but you get the idea, right? You can try to discover it yourself. Okay, now let's back to the topic. what is actually a body, right? A body is, you take a closer look, okay? So we have a candlestick right here. So the thick part is the body, which we call Mr. Body. And there's another part which what we call the candle wick, right? That is the wick. So what is the function between two? What is the function between two? Now, Mr. Body actually represent the price acceptance. Okay, the body, if it's closed, it shows you what the market accept during that particular time, right? It shows you where the trading activity occurred and indicating consensus value. So where the market agrees, price belong. Now let's take a look at the second one, Mr. Wick, right? The Mr. Wick represent price rejection, okay? It shows you failed attempts to hold price and indicate broken conviction, so where belief collapse. Now together, what I'm looking for, why do I look for Mr. Body and Mr. Wick? Well, I'm looking for where the market is trading, but not confident, right? I'm looking for where the market is currently trading, but not confident yet. Okay, I'm going to show you guys how I do so, right? So I want you guys to pay attention to rejection. Okay, consensus is much more comfortable, rejections is informative. Okay, now here I'm going to show you guys usually how do I do mapping. Okay, I'm going to go to, just a moment. Okay, I'm going to go to trading view. Okay, now let's explore the market. Okay, we're gonna remove everything. Let's explore Euro US dollar. Okay, Euro US dollar. Let's close this, remove it. Let's make the chart as clean as possible. Forget about it. All right. Now the next thing would be, let's go to the time frame. Okay, what kind of time frame do we have? All right, let's go to the 5-minute charts. Okay, so here you got the 5-minute charts. Okay, let's take a look, zoom in. How do I actually do mapping? Right, I'm going to look for the levels, that is valid. Zoom in. Okay, now here I want you to do is very simple. Just use a very simple line. We don't have to go for complex things. Let's use just horizontal line will do. You can turn on the, okay, so first, the very first thing that I'm going to search for is actually the wick, right? I'm going to look for rejection. Okay, so let's create two types of line. So the blue line, I look for rejection. Okay, and then we can create another line later on. We search for the price acceptance. Okay, now first thing first, let's just see where does the market rejects, this current price. We don't have to look for, we don't have to really look for the certain price. We just pay attention, just use your eye to spot. Okay, so there's a principle that I use with its 3 touches to actually confirm, a rejection. So do we have like 3 touches here? Right, I always go to the end of the week. Oops. Okay, right, so based on this slide, I want you guys to pay attention, pay more attention to rejection, right? Consensus is comfortable, rejections is informative. Okay, so Okay, obviously, nothing much. So we can see, is there like any rejections? First, I'm gonna look for any rejection from, you know, uh resistance point of view, right? Let's see, is there any like rejection from the resistance? Obviously no, right? Obviously no. Okay, maybe we can look for some valid one to consider. Okay, one here, we have one touch here. Do we have a second touch? No. It is close but not considered a touch. Okay, let's try. But if we look at the support line, there's at least two touches here. So which means that okay, one touch, two touch. So usually I look for at least, the rejection point. I need at least three, touches of the wick to actually make a confirmation. Yep, we have three touches. You see, 3, 4, 5. We have a very valid point right here, right, as a support point. Okay, and then let's take a look at the second one. Is there any more resistance point? Nope. Nope. Let's take a look at here. Nope, nothing, right? Sometimes I try to be very careful when I do charting, because the more you look at the chart, the more the brain wants to create some story to make it valid. So if you look at a chart and then you probably instantly tell you like, nope, it is not, it's not valid. You try to swipe to another view as fast as possible, because the more you look at it, the more your brain try to justify yourself. Okay, so the only levels that I spot for gold right here is actually resistance level. Oh no, it's sorry, it's support level that is located around 4,852 price point, right? So here you have a potential strong potential support level right here. Okay, but this is just evidence number one. Okay, next I'm going to move on to gather more information, which is I'm going to move up from the 5-minute charts, and then we're going to try to further analyze it, right? Then I go for, okay, then I move to the 15 minutes to give it a try. Okay, yeah, so that is what I want to say. You pay more attention to the rejection. Okay, consensus is comfortable, rejection is informative. So this is what I want to tell you guys. All right, now what is my edge, right? And when do I actually act? So what I do is that I wait, step number one, I wait for information and clarity. All right, I don't do judgment here. Okay, and then I resist the urge to commit based on unverified signals, just like what I told you just now. If I look at it and I start to feel that my brain is trying to create a story that I can lean on to make a trade, I start to move on to the next page. Okay, because I don't want my brain to trick me into a fake confidence. Okay, and then this is where I actually trade. This is where my trading opportunities lie. I hunt for people that has a failed confidence, right? My strategy is not about predicting success, but I'm recognizing when others' convictions crumbles. Okay. Now, for today's class, if you forget everything, I want you to remember this. Okay. First, I want you to protect your judgment first. Okay. Your attention is your first position. Second, I want you to map before you decide. 5 minutes is for market memory. One time frame for judgment. And three, trade information, not stories, etc. Explain rejection reveals. Okay. So the market actually punish early certainty and reward delayed commitment. So this is actually something that I want you guys to understand. All right. So yeah, I think for today, that's probably it. Let me check to see the chat box. Does anybody have any question for me so that we can actually explain further? So anyone in the chat box today, we have 8 views coming in around 9 p.m. Guys, I'm not sure that are you guys still in the chat box, but you guys are still here. Welcome. And yeah, today we're gonna talk about what is actually going on in the market, right? So guys, thank you very much. Thank you for joining our class today. Apologize for those tiny little technical glitches. I'm apologize for that because it's actually my very first time to use OBS Studio to do all this to do live stream. So bear with me, and I hope that today's content actually gave you guys some clarity on how should we actually trade the market. Okay, thank you very much guys, and I'll see you guys in our next